This conference will now be recorded.
Oop. All right, let's go back. Good morning, EOF Summer Scholars. Today is Wednesday, July 14th. And this morning, our conversation is really going to be an extension of the time management and goal setting workshop that Devin delivered yesterday afternoon. And this is 5 ways to develop self-discipline. And then in parentheses, you see, don't self-sabotage, because it tends to be something that just adult learners, people in general tend to do. And so today we're going to talk about ways that we are going to avoid that idea of self-sabotage. This is an interactive workshop, so there'll be opportunities where I'll be asking for participation. Please unmute yourself or type it in the chat. Both Lisa and Barbara will be monitoring the chat, and we're going to move forward. And we're going to start with participating. And I'm asking everyone, what is discipline? Tell me what you believe your definition of discipline is. Unmute or type it in the chat.
I guess I would say discipline is more like your will to like focus on the objective. Personally, I don't know if you heard that.
No, I hear you. So you're saying
Oh,
the will, your will to focus on an objective. I
yeah.
think that's a great definition. Anyone else want to build or share their example of what the definition of discipline is?
I agree with Greg. Um, I think discipline is a will to get things done that aren't exactly easy or something you don't want to do.
Interesting. Did you say something that you want or don't want to do?
Well, ideally you would want to do it because it will help you out in the long run. But say you're really tired this morning, you don't really want to get up and do your daily activities, but discipline is the will to get up and do the things that you have to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Bailey says in quotes, the practice of training people to obey. And Isaiah also says training to obey, or what Bailey said. Astrid said being able to control something to do right or wrong, like willpower and commitment in a way.
Personally, when I think about discipline, I think along the lines of what Astrid had outlined in terms of that willpower, the having the discipline to make the commitment. Another word that comes to mind would be stick-to-itiveness or perseverance would be ways that I would define discipline. Okay. So some of the definitions that I found online, Google says the practice of training people to obey. So we had a good number of you who use that as the definition, and Google is right there with you on that. Obey the rules or code of behavior, and training people to be obedient. The Oxford Dictionary says activity that provides mental or physical training. So that's that stick-to-itiveness, that commitment that we were talking about. Training expected to produce a specific character or pattern of behavior. I think that is also the discipline or training so that you can make physical improvements, you know, whether it's within your academics, whether it's in your physical appearance. A lot of people use discipline when it comes to what they eat, how they exercise, what they, the people that they're around. If you want good energy and positivity in your life, then you can use some discipline to just make sure that you have people or that you separate yourself from negative energy and negative people. So these are just a few of the self-discipline quotes. So I'll read through them, but what I want you to do, of the 6 quotes, scholars, let me know either via the chat. We're going to talk about which quote resonates with you and why. So Aristotle said, what lies in our power to do lies in our power not to do. Brian Tracy says, the ability to do what you know you should do, whether you feel like it or not. Jim Rohn, everyone must choose one of 2 plans, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And there's an anonymous author that says, discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. The 5th one, unknown author, opportunity may knock once, but temptation leans on the doorbell. And the last quote by Aristotle is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So in the chat or unmute yourself, please select which, at least one of the discipline quotes resonates with you and why. So we'll take a second to do that.
So Greg said that 2 resonated with him. Astrid said 3. Barbara said 4. I said
Well,
2 and 6.
Let's back up, Lisa. So go in order. So you started with Greg.
Gregory.
So Gregory said 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Gregory, just give us a little reason why the ability to do what you know you should do, whether you feel like it or not, resonates with you. Just share.
All right. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. I chose 2 because at the end of the day, you always have a mission to be better than you were the day before. So whether you feel like it or not, you still got to wake up and get the job done. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's just the mindset I feel 2 represents for me.
definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I need Sarah and Ellen. You guys need to participate and let us know which quote, if any, resonates with you, please.
And
So
then
then
go ahead, who was the next one?
Astrid said 3.
And Astrid, if you can unmute yourself and just give us why you chose 3.
Okay, so I wrote it in the chat, but you either do something, and if it's something that's wrong, you deal with the consequences and not necessarily suffer all the way through, but just deal with the consequences, or you don't do something and you end up regretting missing out or not doing that. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next, Lisa?
Barbara said number 4.
Well, I chose
Barbara.
for
Go
it
ahead.
sounds more like, weight,
So for you,
discipline.
discipline is eating and weight?
Yes. If you don't do it, then it's like a ton of bricks on you.
Mm-hmm.
True enough. So then I said 2 or 6, and I'd like to explain 6. And I'm a big believer that you have to practice, especially if you're a negative person internally or you doubt yourself a lot, you have to practice, flipping that around and, using different cognitive methods to change how you think about things in order to change and to make yourself a better person. So I do think that, you know, if you practice something that you want to change about yourself, if you practice it regularly, eventually it will become a habit, and therefore that's what you will become. So
Excellent.
Isaiah said number 1.
Yeah. So you want me to explain why I picked
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Hold on 1 second. I just had it and I forgot it. I feel like if you really want something, like, so for instance, if you want to go to school, you have all the power to go to school, but you also need to take the necessary steps to get there. So, like, yeah, I just confused myself.
No, you're like right on track with it, especially, you know, in how you're beginning to explain it. So just keep your thoughts going.
Well, in life, you have everything is really up to you. So, if you want to do something, go do it. If you don't want to do something, don't do it.
Basically, it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So Sarah said number 2.
Sarah, unmute yourself. I know you may have typed it in the chat, but we want to hear you explain.
I said number 2 because doing stuff that you don't want to do just takes a lot of motivation and willpower.
For sure.
Oh, and I think you hit the nail right on the head with those 2 words, motivation. And did you say willpower? Motivation and willpower. And it's definitely harder to push through with things that you really don't want to do, but you do it anyway because it needs to get done. Who's next, Lisa? Thanks, Sarah.
Alex said number 4.
Yeah, I said number 4. That one says discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Because when you work to better yourself or you work for something that you want, it won't always be easy, but in the end, when you get what you want, you'll be in a better place. And then you can set new goals and only move up. But if you don't do something, you'll just never be better off. You could end up worse off, and you'd regret not doing the work.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Ellen said number 5.
I chose number 5 because it's like there's so many opportunities in this world, and it really just depends on you whether you take it or not.
No, and that's absolutely, and like the quote says, you know, you may only get, you know, one opportunity here, you know, relative to your education, like the EOF Summer Scholars Program. A good number more acceptances went out, but you were the few who accepted the opportunity to participate in this program and beyond, which is going to give you continued benefits. And so, you know, my hope is that that as opportunities are presented to you now and in the future, that even though sometimes those opportunities may be a little scary because of some of the unknowns that you may feel, but that you'll step up and believe that it is worth it in the end. So thanks, Ellen. Did we have anyone else that needed to go, Lisa?
I don't know if Bailey wanted to share one or not.
Oh, yes. Bailey, you're next.
Okay, well, Bailey said number 5.
Okay, can you just elaborate a little bit for us? Unmute.
So what she did say in chat is that it's the most generic and it can be attributed to more things than just discipline, but also perseverance and dedication. Those are good words too, perseverance and dedication.
100%. So we've got willpower, we have motivation, perseverance, dedication. Definitely all great words that align with good discipline, right?
Astrid shared that if anyone watches The Office, the main character took a quote from Wayne Gretzky that says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And she feels it
Ooh, I
goes
love
hand in
that.
hand with discipline, motivation, and willpower as well. Good job, Astrid.
Yes. No, that's an excellent point. You miss 100% of the shots. What was the rest of it if you don't try?
Of the shots you don't take, yeah.
Yes, yes. So for me, two of the quotes resonated, number 1 and number 6. And this goes back to Isaiah. I believe you chose 1 also. Number 1, because just specifically lies with the choices. And I am a true believer that every day as individuals, we choose each and everything that we do, starting from the moment that you open your eyes in the morning. You choose whether you hit that snooze button 1 time or 5 times before you get out of bed, right? You make a choice with what you're going to wear, and you choose every aspect of your life is about the choices that you make. All right. Even if you have a job, your employer, you go to work, you choose if you're going to be productive, and how much effort you're going to put into your work. So number 1 definitely lies in what you choose to do and what you choose not to do. Number 6, like Lisa said, I believe in the practice and the training, so that way you can build yourself up. So that way, you know, that whole notion of try again, and the end goal will hopefully yield, you know, positive results. And the more you do something, the better you get at it, kind of like the little engine that could. Okay, so Devin talked about goal setting yesterday, but today I just want to ask these questions. So, do you have a vision for yourself and for your life? Do you focus on short-term or long-term satisfaction? Well, you know what? Let's take them one at a time. And we're just going to, in the chat, or if you're a caller, just unmute and say it out loud. But do you have a vision for yourself and for your life? Type in the chat yes. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on the actual vision because we're going to have an exercise at a later date about vision boards and all of that. Yes. I mean, most of us do, right? We all have an idea of, you know, what we want to be, where we want to go. All right, second question, do you focus more on short-term goals or long-term goals? Short-term or long-term satisfaction, rather. Satisfaction or gratification? So Greg says both, short and long. Greg, if you had to choose one, which would it be? Short term.
To be honest, I don't think there's like a choice, because
Okay.
our life we have forever, so I could really do both. But if I had to choose, I'd probably do long term.
Long term. Okay, fair enough. Long term. So I see a lot of long terms. I think I saw a short term that said something like the short term goals kind of build on and help you achieve your long term goals. And that is true too. There's no right or wrong answer, right? There's no right or wrong answer. I think the key is having focus And so are you self-aware of your good habits versus your bad habits? So we're going to spend a little bit of time on this one. So are you self-aware of your good habits versus your bad habits? And type in the chat either yes or no, and then give an example of, and we can focus on academics, on what a good academic habit is versus a bad academic habit. And if you don't want to type it in the chat, just unmute yourself and you can share.
Can you repeat the question?
Are you self-aware of your good habits versus bad habits?
I'd say bad habits, just better time management when it comes to events or family, etc., school. Good habits, I'd say just always find a way to get it done, even though I could get it done in advance. So,
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Because I think half of the part of the problem and the solution is being self-aware. Like you need to know what you're good at, what you're not good at, so that you can have some strategies to offset, right? Lisa, do you want to read some of the ones that are in the chat? Lisa or Barbara?
Sorry, I was muted. So Astrid said she's more aware of good habits because she doesn't notice bad habits until it bites me. For instance, procrastinating on a paper or studying. Bailey
Mm-hmm.
says I'm more aware of bad habits, and I'm with Bailey on that. I think I'm more aware of my own bad habits. Alex says, yes, I procrastinate and have poor time management. It's a good thing you're here, Alex. It's a good thing you're here. Haven't heard from Sarah or Ellen on this one. Sarah says she's more aware of good habits. Isaiah says, if there was a picture for the word procrastinate, my face would be right there.
Okay.
I love that, Isaiah.
So we're just waiting for Sarah and Ellen to put something
Nope,
in the chat.
just Ellen.
Oh, did you read Sarah's? I missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she says she's more aware of her good habits.
Okay.
Ellen says I'm aware of my bad habits more than my good ones, and again, I agree on that. And I think that's because Ellen and Bailey and I, we probably all three of us have a tendency to beat ourselves up a lot more than we should. And so therefore we focus more on those bad habits, and because that's just our nature, is to look at what we're doing wrong and things like that. And Ellen or Bailey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we're probably really hard on ourselves. Yes, no, maybe.
It looked like Ellen's unmuted for a second and then it went, so we maybe didn't hear her.
Sorry, you're definitely right, at least for me personally. It's just that sometimes I tend to be a people pleaser kind of for my parents, so I always have to beat myself up a lot because I want my parents proud and everything. So
I agree. Bailey says that I'm partially right, and there's probably a little bit more to it. In other words, I'm sorry, Bailey. In other words, other people being overly critical, which influences decisions. And sometimes I wonder if other people are being overly critical with me, or that's just how I'm receiving it. Like that's how I see it. When anybody is like slightly critical to me, I take it way too far, and that's one of those things that I've been working on, you know. And Bailey says it's a little column A and a little column B. Sorry, Bailey, I'm just messing with you.
You internalize it.
I definitely,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of those things that I practice on not doing so that I can train myself through discipline to not take things so personally.
So goal setting is definitely one of the ways that you can develop good self-discipline. Okay, so we have this video. Let's see if I can play it. Oh, will they not hear the sound?
They
I don't
should, as
know.
long as your sound is all the way up, they should be able to hear it.
Okay, let me just escape for a second. You know what? Pick it up that way. All right, let's give it a try.
Yeah, we can't hear anything if something's going on right now.
Oh, you can't?
No. Is your volume on YouTube all the way up too? Try playing it. Oh, you know what? Try playing it on YouTube instead of in the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
So where it says on the bottom left, it says watch on YouTube.
Here.
Yeah. See if that will work better.
All right, let me turn my volume all the way up too. Oh, what is that?
Don't hit the X. Don't hit the X. Don't hit the X. If it comes up.
No.
There it is.
I'm going to skip the ad then. Let's see.
No, still can't hear it. Can you hear it on your end, Tiffany?
Yes, it's very loud. Hold on.
Bailey says that you should be able to hear it. The Wi-Fi is just bad in those offices, and yeah, it's bad everywhere on campus.
Okay. Well, we're going to pass that on your own time. And maybe Lisa, when you send the PowerPoint or the recording, then you can send the link for the how to eat an elephant.
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So the second way that you can just develop better discipline would be to focus on one change at a time, one change, one habit at a time. So we just talked a little bit about good habits versus, bad habits. So if you look at this list of habits and you think about what you personally would like to improve for yourself, commitment, time management, organization, clear communication, study skills, academic discipline, steadiness, the ability to control your emotions, that whole emotional intelligence piece. And we're going to have a whole workshop on emotional intelligence because steadiness is critical because if you find yourself getting a bit overwhelmed or you've had an exam and you just bombed it, the steadiness comes into play when you're like, okay, am I going to fall to pieces or am I going to find, strategic ways that I can make improvements? And you're, really more in alignment with creating a strategy for yourself rather than being in the column where you think, oh well, if I failed this then I must not be good at it or I must not have you. That's that whole, when you think about mindset, if you have a not an open mindset, but oh my gosh, Angela Duckworth, she has a lot of research on academic mindset, and I'm not about to select the right word for it, but you want to definitely have, it's fixed mindset, or what's the other one, Lisa? It's not open, but when you have a fixed mindset, you have the idea that either you have the skills or you don't. You don't believe that you can learn and improve. And an open mindset, we'll call it open until I get the right word for it.
Growth mindset.
Growth. Thank you very much. Growth mindset. That growth mindset is where we want to be. Growth mindset says, regardless of defeat, regardless of failure, even regardless of your success, right? Because you can get an A, your A could be a 90, but you didn't get 100, right? So what can you do to make improvements for yourself? You know, do I need better study habits? Do I need more organization? Do I need better study skills? And so this is where we can determine and make a shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So in the chat, choose at least one, because we want to focus on one, because you can't fix everything all at one time. Write in the chat where you think you are right now. Do you believe that you're more of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? And then we're going to also choose one habit that you think that you could improve so that you could be more of a growth mindset.
So Astrid said that she has a fixed mindset, which means you're either good at something or you're not. Isn't that one way of looking at a fixed mindset?
Yes, yes. You believe that you're either good at it or you're not, or that, you know, if you're thinking a fixed mindset would also, another example might be that you don't believe that you have the ability to get better at something because you believe you're either good at it or you're not good at it. So time on task isn't going to make a difference. Doesn't matter how many times I try. If I want to do a back handspring and I fall on my head 10 times, you know, maybe that 11th time my form is better. I've done some, you know, work with some dumbbells to strengthen my arm muscles, and now, boom, I'm stronger, I'm faster, and now I can actually hit the back handspring.
So Sarah also said a fixed mindset, and Bailey says that she definitely is leaning towards fixed mindset for a larger number of things, but that she's flexible with other things. And I think that's an interesting point of view, because I think there are certain things that we can have a fixed mindset about, and there are other things that we can have a growth mindset about. And I think one of the things about education, and when you're in the midst of, you know, getting an education, the growth mindset, just by being here, you must have a growth mindset because you're here to learn. And a fixed mindset would say, well, I can't learn anymore. I've already learned as much as I can. This is where I'm at. This is how it's going to be. Whereas a growth mindset is saying, hey, you know what? I can learn more, and I'm going to learn more, and that's how I'm going to move forward. So Isaiah says growth mindset, and Alex says growth mindset.
And also, I think growth means that you are open to learning more.
Absolutely.
Whatever the subject is. And you can do that throughout your life, not just academically, which is what we want to concentrate right now. But growth means you are willing to adapt.
Good point, Barbara. Good point.
Thank you.
And I think, Barbara, you use the word adapt, and that word is critical in a growth mindset, because sometimes we can't control the environment around us, right? You don't control when your professors assign your assignments or your exams, and you don't control what's on that exam. But what you can control is your focus, your study habits, your ability to speak up for yourself, ask questions. Those are all strategies that help you grow as a scholar and, you know, as you pursue your goals.
So Ellen says that it's a bit of both for her, and it depends on the topic. Bailey said that that's somewhere where she personally have a growth mindset is with academics. Astrid follows up to say that when it comes to academics, I feel a fixed mindset because certain classes I get / understand easily. She would say that where she can be adaptable is with repetition and commitment.
Very good. So a third strategy for avoiding or for developing your discipline would be simply to finish what you start, okay? And recognizing that progress, focusing on your progress, not perfection. A lot of times we get stuck in trying to get things done perfectly, and then that leads to procrastination also. Lisa says, who has a problem finishing what they start? Just type it right in the chat. Well, if it's depending on the thing, then you can include an example in the chat, an example of something that you weren't able to finish. I'll give you a prime example. With our summer scholars from last year, every student received a Rubik's Cube, okay? We'll probably get Rubik's Cubes again, but we had Rubik's Cubes. And Lisa, I don't know about you, but I still have my Rubik's Cube. And
I'm showing mine. You just can't see it, but I am showing my Rubik's Cube.
Okay, yes. And so, sometimes the growth and progress is in that, your ability to continue to try again. So, my Rubik's Cube is not solved. I don't know that I'll ever be able to solve it, but I do go back to it. I pick it up. I try and, see if I can get another side solved. But I think that trying to determine kind of a strategy, when you think you have a good strategy, sometimes it doesn't always work out. But I did celebrate my milestone when I got that one side. I had a whole little cheer for myself, And in terms of trying to make progress, you just have to be persistent and going back to something to say, hey, if this isn't working, I'm going to try it a new way. Because what do they say? Part of insanity is doing things the same way and expecting different results, right? So if you want to make a new progress and have better results, sometimes that might mean, I need to go and get library resources. So I'm going to go and talk to Lisa in the library and see what I can do to improve my paper. Or I may need to go to my professor during office hours and get a clear understanding of the assignment. Or, what can I do from my professor's standpoint to make an improvement? And then from there, you go to the ISC to book an appointment or a writing consultation. So that way you can make some improvements and your grades will certainly realize an improvement if you're doing things in the right direction. Lisa, were there some posts in the chat that we need to?
So let's see. Astrid said that for her, it's a 50-50, depending on what it is. Bailey did follow up by saying, if something becomes over encumbering, she tends not to finish it. Barbara's still trying to master the Rubik Cube, as am I. So Astrid then followed up, said homework / class, assignments, etc. She makes it so that's she makes it so she has no choice but to finish it. However, errands, tasks like daily stuff that she can get done tomorrow tend to be pushed. So as far as days, weeks, etc., until she finishes it. Like she can get away with not getting done if there's no due dates type of mentality. She won't stress to get it done unless important to actually do so. And that's true. Like if you think about stuff that you don't get done, it's usually stuff that's not as important to you. So it depends on the priority you put on something. So Astrid puts her schoolwork first. And so that is something that she is committed to finishing. However, like she said, with, daily stuff, I completely understand, sometimes you can just keep putting it off because it's not stressful. It doesn't have to be done right then. There's no date on it in terms of when it needs to be done. Isaiah said, if he starts something and he realized it's too much at the moment, he'll take a break and come back to it. For example, when he attended WCCC after he graduated from high school, he was not mentally prepared or mature And so he took a 4-year break. Now he believes he's ready. And I agree, Isaiah. I always say, and don't take this personally, anybody, I always say that education is wasted on the youth, because it's really hard to come into college right after you finished high school and do more work, more schoolwork. So a lot of people need that break to go out, to mature, to find out what they want from life, and then come back. And I did that myself. I did 2.5 years, and then I dropped out of school, and I came back. I went back to school about 6 or 7 years later, and my mindset was completely different. My desire to finish school was there, and I had a different understanding of how important education was. So by coming back after living in the world and having jobs all over the place, I really knew the effort I needed to put into school to make it work. So I completely understand you, Isaiah.
Okay. So our fourth strategy is remove temptations. Okay. So strategies to, achieve that good self-discipline, the whole idea of out of sight, out of mind. There are some apps that you can use to manage your time. These are the names of the apps. So there's an app called Offline, there's Cold Turkey, Focus Me, Self-Control. So you can use technology to assist you. If you have your own methods that you can use, definitely you want to, a lot of this is trial and error. You have to see what's going to work for you. Someone else might make a recommendation and they find it very effective for themselves. You give it a try, you're like, that's not, it's not working for me exactly. But you also want to find a comfortable space to work, whether it's here on campus or somewhere in your home, or hours of the day where you're most productive. Devin talked about that, your peak energy. Are you more productive, maybe if you have children after the kids are in bed, or if you're living at home and you have a lot of siblings, you can go to your room. Now that things have opened up a bit more with COVID, you can be at the library here on campus, or at Panera or Dunkin' Donuts in a corner somewhere where you can get free Wi-Fi and get your work done. And then also just, I don't know about you, but how many of you, your cell phone is a huge distraction? Type in the chat if you are distracted by, the text messages, the notifications that come in, the phone calls. So your phone, having your technology and everyone has it right next to them all the time, can be a huge distraction. Folks are calling when you're in the middle of writing a paper or trying to concentrate on getting your homework done. So sometimes you have to change the settings on your phone. Put a message on your phone during your study hours that says, I can't come to the phone right now, I'm working on my homework. People will respect that, in the same way that they respect that you're not answering your phone while you're driving your car. Okay. And the fifth way is just setbacks and failures. Okay. You should expect them. When you fail, again, like I said earlier, try and try again. Setbacks and failures are just a natural part of life, and you will experience them because we're not perfect people. This number one, you want to observe your language and your thoughts. And yesterday, Devin did talk about, kind of your positive mindset, how you think, and it does impact your outcomes. So if you had to write 3 things, and I'm going to ask you to put them in the chat. So 3 positive things about yourself. I am, I deserve, and I will. So in the chat, just type, some positive language about yourself and just put them in. I am, Barbara says, I am determined. I would say I deserve, the best of everything. I believe that. You know, I will put my best effort forth in all things that I do.
Everybody needs to put it in the chat.
Yep, type something in the chat. And the second part is that you should ask yourself, now what, right? So if you've had a setback or a failure, part of, you know, that rebound would include, now what? What are you going to do differently? Because obviously whatever you did before is or did not work to yield the results that you were expecting. All right. What did you learn from your mistakes? Where can you get more help or more information? I think that is one of the most critical. Now what? You know, now what? Who do I need to talk to so I can make improvements? Where do I need to go to get some additional help? And then the third thing, when you're faced with setbacks or failure, you want to be able to manage your emotions. Because if we expect setbacks and failures, then you're not going to beat yourself up. You're like, okay, it happened. Now what? You want to have realistic thoughts about failure so that you can manage your emotions and handle kind of and learn from your mistakes. You know, failure doesn't mean that you suck. You'll never get better. That just means that now what? You need to do some things. You need to make some adjustments. You need to adapt. And that's what one of the words Barbara used earlier. You need to adapt and also accept responsibility. Oftentimes, your setbacks and failures are because of some of those bad habits that we all have, like poor time management, procrastinating. And if there's some, what does I have here? Research famous failures. So there are, a lot of famous people, who we all look up to, who, had they not failed, they would not have succeeded. And so survival is built in our DNA. And so if you think about Albert Einstein, a lot of the inventors, a lot of famous entrepreneurs, some of these companies, they've had multiple companies before Amazon. What was his name? Bezos. He had multiple companies before Amazon, and Amazon is now this, quadrillion-dollar company. So you have to, yeah, quadrillion. I don't even know. The number is so high. The number is so high. Is there a number for it, right? But the point is, you have individuals who push through, try and adapt and, adjust so that they can achieve success. And that's what we're having and hoping that as scholars here at WCCC, you're able to take these setbacks and failures that you may experience through your 2 years here and create something positive out of it so that you have an opportunity to learn from your mistakes and grow. Get you shifted from that fixed mindset into a growth mindset. Lisa, do you want to read a few things from the chat about their positive thoughts?
So Astrid started it off with saying, I am a first-generation college attendee. I deserve to strive and do better for myself on a daily. I will end up getting the degree and career I want. Sarah said, I am kind. I deserve respect. I will try my best.
Awesome.
Greg said, I am determined and driven to be great. Isaiah said, oh, Bailey's is my favorite just because it mentions a cat and I have like a billion cats at my house. She says, I'm persistent. I deserve a try. I will pet my cat. And I'm with you on that. Isaiah, I love Isaiah's too. He says, I am a great person. I deserve what I work for and I will achieve my end goal. And that's that. I love it, love it, love it. Alex says that he is determined to be more successful. These are great, guys. They're absolutely great. Now, the thing is you have to remind yourself of these things every day. Like the affirmations
Yes.
that Quanisha talked about, those affirmations, these are the affirmations that you can use on the daily to reflect and kind of remind yourself what it is you're doing.
Correct.
Ellen says, I am driven. My goal is achievable with the right dedication from myself. Absolutely.
And I mean, this slide right here, Lisa, you just summarized the idea of reflection, the idea of affirmation. What we tell ourselves is what we believe about ourselves. And if you continue to, have positive self-talk, then you're better able to cope with the, successes, to cope with the setbacks, to cope with the failures so that you can grow. So we're going to have an activity that we're going to have you work on. So from 11, well, it's about 11:07. From 11:07 to 12, we're going to give you a study block. Okay. So we're going to log off in just a few minutes. I believe, Lisa, did you email everyone this hand?
Well, not this particular hand, but I emailed you all a blank hand picture, and it's up to you how you use that. You can put it into Paint and write these things, or you can put it into Word and write them in there. You can do whatever. If you don't like my picture of a hand and you would rather draw your hand and put in the words, you can do that and then take a picture of it and send it in. Whatever works. Actually, that's probably will work better than anything is if you trace your hand, you fill in what Tiffany's going to tell you to fill in, and then you can take a picture of it and email it to me. But if you
Yes.
want to do it in JPEG or Word, that's fine too.
So this is just an exercise. Again, everything that we, have a workshop on, we want to have an activity to reinforce what you're learning. And so the hand, the center of your palm, essentially, the example that's on the screen is self-control. So this person selected, this is kind of like the area that you want to focus on or improve so that your self-discipline is strengthened, that you're able to improve your self-discipline. So this individual selected self-control. And in order to gain better self-control, there are the 5 fingers that represent what that person would need to do or would want to focus on. So balance was one, calmness, determination, confidence, and willpower. Those were the 5, kind of branches or areas that were important for this individual to achieve self-control, to better focus on their own self-discipline. So what I want you to do is choose that area, and that'll go in the center palm area, whatever it is that you choose that you'd like to focus on, and then 5 things that will help you achieve what that goal is in the center of your palm, so that way you can grow your self-discipline. Does anyone have any questions about the assignment? When we come back from lunch, so you'll have study block from now till 12, and then 12 to 1 will be your lunch hour. At 1 o'clock, everyone's expected to log back on, and Lisa is going to lead you one by one. You're going to present your palm, and you're going to talk about what you selected and the 5 areas that are going to help you achieve it.
So I need you before 1 o'clock, let's say by 12:30, to email me your palm, whether it's your own hand that you've traced and taken a picture of with this information on it, or you do it in Word or Paint or whatever. I need you to email it because I'm going to put it into a PowerPoint slide, and everybody can talk about their what they've done one by one as we go through it in the afternoon.
And what I would suggest, scholars, is take a picture, take your phone and take a picture of the hand as an example, because, once it's out of sight, out of mind, you might want to, recall kind of what was on here, and a picture is your best way of doing that. Are there any questions in the chat about the assignment?
Do you want us to put self-control on
No,
our
I
palm?
want you to put whatever you want. Self-control for this person was just the example. So for you, it goes back to what did you want to here, focus on one change, one habit at a time. So, you know, if it's any of the things listed here, but there's, you know, for each one, it's going to be different. If you choose organization, if you choose commitment, you know, self-control was what that person wanted to focus on. Maybe that person had anger issues, you know, maybe it's self-care. You know, self-care is one of the things that you can focus on, because you do everything for everyone else. You put yourself last. Self-care might be an area that you want to focus on so that you can focus on your own personal goals. So the
Thank
palm of your hand is whatever you want to concentrate on. And then the 5 fingers, well, the 4 fingers and your thumb will be the areas that will help you achieve that. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sound great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? And Lisa, yeah, if you stick around with Amanda, great. And if there are no more questions, Lisa, you can stop recording. And scholars, you essentially have from